Hello. Today we're going to make some baklava. So we're going to start out with a pound of walnuts. You're going to put them in your food processor and chop them up. So let's do that now. Okay, that was good. And this is the way you want them to look. You want them to look fairly small, okay? And then you're going to take some ground, I usually use a tablespoon of cinnamon, okay? Any cinnamon will do. You're going to need a pound, which is two sticks of butter melted. And you're going to need some honey. At least, I would say 32 ounces of honey. All right? And you're going to need phyllo dough. And phyllo dough is very thin. And it can be hard to work with the first time. But the most important thing is that if you had it in the freezer, that you make sure you defrost it before you try to even unwrap it. Okay? So, and they give you some type of plastic wrap so it can go on the plastic wrap. Let me show you. I'm going to unfold it now. And there's usually, very gently, and there's usually 24 sheets of phyllo dough in one package. All right, so you just want to make sure you unwrap it nice. This is still a little chilly, okay? So we're just gonna make sure we wait, and then I'll come back. So the phyllo dough is cool. It's warm enough now. I've got my pan that it's gonna go in. What I'm gonna do first is I have to measure my pan to see how much I need to cut in order to fit the pan, because this pan isn't, the exact size that I need for the phyllo dough, to make one sheet on the whole pan. So what I'm doing is, without touching the phyllo dough, I'm just kind of measuring the width of the pan, and then I'm going to take my knife and I am going to cut this section, and we'll fit it into the pan, you'll see, to make the layers. Okay, so what we're going to do first is we're going to take the melted butter. Okay, can you see this? Okay, take the melted butter, take a brush, whether it's plastic or, made of some other material, that's fine, doesn't matter. Just coat the bottom and the sides of the pan with the melted butter, okay? And then what you're going to do is you're going to take one sheet, okay? Now remember I told you it was very thin, so you got to be careful when you take them apart. And sometimes it can be a little bit difficult, but stick with it. It'll pay off. Let's see if I can get this first sheet apart. All right. Let's see what we got here. Okay, so you see how it's coming apart? It's being a little difficult. So we're going to try it another place. Let's see. This one isn't working very well. Let's see if the next one will work. Okay, the next one is working. See how that came off? Okay, I'm going to put it in the pan. Lay it flat in the pan. Okay. And then I'm going to take that other sheet that I cut, the little piece, and we're going to take that and we're going to put that in the pan. Okay. All right. So basically you want it all covered, the bottom of the pan. And then what you're going to do is you're going to put some more butter, just lightly. Take your brush and lightly take the butter and put it on the phyllo dough. Sometimes you got to be very careful. The phyllo dough wants to move on its own. All right. So that's what it looks like, and we're going to continue. And then we'll do about 12 layers for the bottom. And then when we come back, we'll put the... Oh, I'm sorry. We're only going to do... Yeah, we're going to do 12 layers for the bottom. Then when we come back, we're going to put some of the walnut, cinnamon, and I put an 1/8 of a teaspoon of ground clove in that mixture, and we'll put some on, and then we'll do a couple sheets of phyllo, and then we'll put some more on, and then we'll do a, you'll see. So we got the 12 layers. So it's phyllo dough, butter. Keep doing that until you use 12 of the pieces of phyllo dough. And then we took a pound of walnuts, a tablespoon of cinnamon, 1/8 of a teaspoon of ground clove, and I put some ground vanilla, about a teaspoon, in the mixture. Now what we're going to do is we're going to sprinkle it on the phyllo dough. We're going to cover that. Okay? And once we cover it all, then we're going to go back to doing some phyllo dough butter. We're going to do that, and then we're going to add some more of this, of the crushed walnuts with all the spices. Okay? So I just want to show you what this looks like. Okay, so it looks like this, okay? So I'm going to go back, and now I'm going to start with some more phyllo dough to make layers. And sometimes the phyllo dough, you know, it's not perfect. So you kind of have to sometimes piece it together, okay? So this is what I'm doing. I'm piecing things together right now to layer it. Okay, so that's layered. What I'm going to do is put some more butter, then another layer of phyllo dough, put more butter, and then do that 4 times, and then I'm going to add some more of the walnut mixture. Okay, so here is my second layer of the walnut mixture I'm going to be putting on the phyllo dough. And if this is your first time trying this recipe, a little tip is that if your butter starts to get really thick, you want to melt that again because you'll be using too much butter if it's too thick. You want your butter nice and thin. All right, so I'm going to continue on this and do another layer of the walnut mixture after I put 4 more things of phyllo dough and butter in between each one down. Okay, so that's my second layer. Okay, so I'm going to start putting the phyllo dough down again. Okay, and you got to really be careful with this. The phyllo dough, it's so paper thin. I think it's thinner than paper myself. Oh, and when I was younger, I went with my oldest sister and her husband and her 2 oldest daughters to Greece, and I learned some recipes there, and this was one of the recipes. Okay, so I put the 3rd layer of the walnut mixture. Okay, also I was using this spoon to put the walnut mixture, and this says made in the USA. You don't see that much anymore. But anyway, so now what we're going to do is I have 7 sheets left of phyllo dough. So I'm going to layer it. So 1 sheet of phyllo dough, then some butter. Again, phyllo dough, butter, until that's done. And then I'll show you how we cut it before we put it in the oven. So I finished putting the last 7 sheets of phyllo dough and then butter. Keep doing that. I did that. Now, the bowl we used our butter in, I just put a tablespoon of water with it, put it in the microwave to warm it up. Because what you want to do is you want to push the edges. You want to push the edges down. Okay, you can do that. Okay. Because you don't want them to burn. So you put just a little water with the leftover butter. And you go around the edge and push the edge down. Okay, and then once we do that, then we're going to cut it before we put it in the 350 degree oven. Okay, and that's for about anywhere from a half an hour to 45 minutes. It just depends. It's got to rise up and it's got to be golden brown. Okay, so all the edges are down now. Okay. All right, now we want to cut it. So you want to take a nice knife, a nice sharp knife, and you're going to go diagonally. Okay. And they're about an inch at least in width. Hopefully you can see this, what I'm doing. Might be even an inch and a half in width. It's important that you cut this before you put it in the oven because you do not want to cut it afterwards. You want it already cut. So you go through it again, make sure it's all nice and cut through the bottom of the pan. That's what I'm doing right now. Okay, and then we're going to go the other way. Okay, so you're going to go, then you're going to start the other way. Okay, so we'll start like right here. So the sizes are going to be different sizes. And you got to sometimes be very careful. See how the top came off? You got to be very gentle. You need a lot of patience to do this type of dessert. You can even take the brush and hold down the phyllo dough as you're cutting across. All right, so let's continue on. Oops, see? Gotta be very careful. Okay. Almost done. Let's do the final cut. We'll do the final cut. Gotta make sure that we don't pick up the phyllo dough. Okay. So I'm going over the cuts again, making sure I cut it all the way through as we're being careful to keep the phyllo dough intact. Just checking my cuts. That's very important. Make sure you check your cuts. Nice and cut. And the last cut. Make sure that's good. Okay. So what we're going to do now is it looks like this. I'm going to put it in a 350 degree oven for about 30 minutes to 45 minutes. It just depends. It's got to puff up and be golden brown. And then we'll do the next step. The baklava is ready to come out of the oven. It only took about a half an hour. So I shut the oven off. I'm taking it out. Okay, we're going to put it on some hot mats. And the last step, the final step, is to get some just honey. And I need you to soak in the grooves and on top of the baklava. This is the final step. And my friend, who is half Greek, told me this secret. You just use honey. You don't do any simple syrup or anything like that. You just do honey. And you're just covering all of it when it's straight hot out of the oven. You don't want to wait. Okay. And once I'm done this and I take a piece out to show you, all right, I'll be back. So I basically bathed this baklava in oil. I mean, not oil, sorry. Honey, okay? And I used, this was a 48 ounce thing of honey, and I have probably, I'd say, a fourth left of it. So I used that much honey. All right, so now I'm going to take a piece out, all right, and we pre-cut it. Okay, I'm just going to try a little piece. Okay, here it is. You try, now I want you to hear this crunch, okay? It's not soggy. I hope you heard that crunch. Mmm. That's really good. So, if you like this video, please subscribe. And I want to just praise the Lord that I have hands to do all these recipes. And I hope my daughters enjoy it. This is one of my husband's favorite desserts, so I decided to make this today for him. All right, until next time, have a wonderful day.